Did you know there are different kinds of multilinguals, each with unique experiences and advantages? Here are 5 distinctions of multilinguals. The first two you are probably familiar with. It's simultaneous and successive or sequential multilinguals. The next 3 are the fascinating and oftentimes overlooked categories of compound, coordinate, and subordinate multilinguals. First, let's talk about simultaneous and successive or subsequent multilinguals. Simultaneous multilinguals are children exposed to 2 or more languages from birth. Ute Limacher also uses the term of bilingual first language acquisition. What's the advantage? Well, simultaneous multilinguals usually develop native-like pronunciation in both languages in the most natural and spontaneous way, through being exposed to 2 or more languages regularly since day 1 or very early on, so before age 3, and in one-on-one interactions or conversations, so through child-directed speech. The children's early exposure helps them to master subtle phonological features effortlessly. Additionally, juggling 2 or more linguistic systems enhances their cognitive flexibility and gives them strong problem-solving skills and boosts their executive functioning. But this all only works if the 2 or more languages the children are exposed to since birth are nurtured with consistency. Successive multilinguals learn a second language after establishing their first, so rather after age 3 or between age 3 and 5 when they start daycare or school in a new language. This is also known as early second language acquisition. Successive multilinguals benefit from a solid foundation in their first language, which helps transfer literacy and academic skills to the new language. Plus, they develop metalinguistic awareness, an ability to analyze and compare language structures, and leading to profound linguistic insights. An important fact to know is that most studies about school-aged children are based on successive multilinguals, and practices and interventions are geared at supporting children's learning the school language with the support of their home language or based on the skills they already have in their home language. With the terms of simultaneous and successive bi or multilinguals, the focus is mainly on the age of acquisition, which is either before the children receive formal instructions, generally before age 3, or starting from when they receive formal instruction in an additional language, generally then after age 3 or between age 3 and 5. Now let's explore the compound, coordinate, and subordinate multilinguals. These distinctions highlight how and where children or people in general learn multiple languages. Compound multilinguals learn 2 or more languages in the same context. For instance, a child whose parents speak German and Spanish at home associates concepts like dog with both words, Hund and perro, simultaneously. Or any word used regularly at home by both parents will be known in both languages. Now, similarly, children attending my bilingual school, where maths, for example, is taught in French and English, will create overlapping language associations. This means that the children can use technical terms and make reasonings in both languages. Compound multilinguals are more prone to make fluid transitions between the languages and use code mixing and code switching, that's to say, alternate between the different languages in one sentence or conversation to keep the conversation flowing. Coordinate multilinguals, on the other hand, keep their languages separate. For example, when learning Italian at home and German at school, we build distinct mental associations for each language, making them context-specific. We will be able to function in Italian at home and in German at school. But if we have to function at school in Italian or use Italian at school, we might not have the necessary skills, know the words necessary to fully express our thoughts in the same way we would in German in the school language. Coordinate multilinguals separate their languages depending on topics, situations, and people, and are more likely to need clear boundaries for specific language use. It is like the time and place strategy, where languages are used in distinctive domains at different moments and for different purposes. Just think about the language you use at home and whether you are able to talk about your work in another of your languages. You probably prefer keeping the reasonings about your work in your work language. Subordinate multilinguals rely on their dominant language to learn a new one. For instance, when learning an additional language, we base it on the one we already know or learned. So let's assume that we first learned Italian and German, and our additional language is French. We are likely to initially associate table in French with tavolo in Italian or Tisch in German before directly linking it to the object of the table. Now, subordinate multilinguals rely on translations from existing languages in their repertoire to connect and construct meaning. Another example is when learning French, we assume that there are articles and genders like in Italian and German, la, il, and der, die, das. And we connect the French le et la to the Italian il et la, so masculine and feminine. Something that we will miss if we learn English, where there is no such distinction. Or for English speakers, it is more difficult to learn as they don't have different genders for their definite articles. They always use the. So for them, learning the distinction of il et la, or even the German der, die, das, requires more effort. The older we get, the more we use all our knowledge about how languages work to learn a new language. This means that when we learn a new word or concept, we try to picture it in our head as an image and as a word. We prefer reading it, sounding it out loud, in order to better connect it with a term we already know and link it to the new object in the world. This all with the intent to memorize it better in order to be able to retrieve it, should we actively want or need to use it. Whether simultaneous or successive, compound, coordinate, or subordinate, all these types of multilingual certainly boost cognitive flexibility, cultural awareness, and the ability to adapt to changing linguistic landscapes. Multilinguals are all but the same. The way and reason they acquire and learn additional languages depends on when, what, how, and why they learned languages before. Exploring these individual contexts helps to understand how multilingual language learners connect all their languages, how to make sure they learn new languages efficiently. And it helps to discover how all these languages can be kept alive, at least to a certain extent, and retrievable even if they are not used regularly. But this is a topic for another video. Now I'm curious to know if you are a simultaneous, a successive, a coordinate, a compound, or subordinate multilingual, a combination of them. But before you go, please subscribe to our channel and follow us for more insights on raising multilinguals and fostering multiple languages across the lifespan.